Take a look at this paper triangle. It was in this form that Red Army soldiers sent letters from the front to their family and friends. But why did they do this? Why it was impossible to seal letters in ordinary envelopes, as German soldiers did, and how in general did the letters arrive safe and sound, and could they be read? Despite the fact that in most photographs the Red Army soldiers write letters with an ordinary pencil and not with a pen. At the end of the video, we will learn how to make such triangle letters too. Let's start. 70 years ago, it did not surprise anyone. It was precisely such letters that were then the most valuable that a postman could bring, because the triangles were news from the front from a loved one. The country's leadership placed great emphasis on soldiers' letters. A letter from home could raise the morale of a soldier at times. The content of such letters was mostly standard. The soldiers wrote about their love for their relatives, sometimes drew pictures for their children, and promised to return home after the war. Such letters had another advantage. They were easy to check by the censors of the NKVD, who looked through all the correspondence. That is why the letters were not sealed. What's the point of sealing a letter in an envelope if they will read it anyway and check that you are writing home before sending it? The censors checked the letters to see if they contained any statements against the communist system or any references to classified data, such as the location and movement of military units. Usually everything extra was mercilessly smeared with black ink, after which the letter was sent to the addressee. A triangle is a more rigid construction than a rectangle. Recall origami, most of them are designed on the basis of triangle. Ships, hats, airplanes. This is also the reason for the triangular shape of frontline letters. Thanks to this form, the letters were less wrinkled and did not open during transportation. And yet, according to the form of the letter, it was clear what news had come from the front to the soldier's family. If the postman brought a white envelope with an address typed on a typewriter, grief came to the house. After all, an official letterhead was enclosed in such an envelope, on which it was reported, died heroically or died the death of the brave or went missing. Thousands of such letters survive today, which were sent in the tens of millions during the war. Basically, they can be found in private collections and in the families of war eyewitnesses, who carefully store pieces of paper that have yellowed from time to time. But the main reason why the letters were triangular in shape was the shortage of paper, stamps, and stationery. This is how these triangles appeared. First, the text of the message was written on one side of the paper, and then the sheet was folded into a triangle, where the address was written on the other side. Another feature was that the letters were written with a pencil, but not with an ordinary pencil, but with a chemical one. In appearance, the pencil is simple and leaves a gray slate mark, and when wetted with water or saliva, the written letters turned purple and did not wash off on the paper. I want to read you several letters and what the soldiers of the Red Army wrote in them. Letter from Senior Lieutenant Sergei Mikhailovich Puzurkevich to his sister. May 9, 1945. Dear sister, I want to live, but apparently I don't have to. Right now, outside the window, I hear congratulations on the victory. I also dreamed about this day. Physically, I can't congratulate anyone on the victory, for the achievement of which I gave all my best years, youth, dreams, and life. It is exactly what we need. Dear sister, calm your mother down. I'm not afraid of dying, just as I've not been afraid since the first days of the war, and nowhere and never. I don't believe I'll live another hour. Thanks to the nurse who writes this letter. My plans failed, but they were as rich as our country is rich. Farewell, little sister. Do not forget to give your life to the motherland, the consolation of the mother. Farewell, motherland. Farewell to all my family. Recorded by Nurse N. Suchkova on May 9, 1945, 10:30 a.m. A participant in the storming of Berlin, Senior Lieutenant Artilleryman of the Guard, Sergei Mikhailovich Puzurkevich, was wounded in the chest by a shell fragment during street fight. The wound turned out to be fatal, and he died half an hour after the nurse wrote this farewell letter, at exactly 11 o'clock, as noted in the death certificate. He was buried with military honors in the hospital cemetery. 14 May 1942. The brave warrior, marked by awards and thanks from the command, was posthumously awarded the Second Order of the Red Star. 14 May 1942. My dear sons, Valera and Vova, when you grow up, read this letter. I am writing it on the front lines at a time when I feel that this may be the last time. If I do not return home, then you, my beloved sons, will not have to bluster your daddy. You can boldly and proudly say to your friends, our father died in the war, faithful to his oath and motherland. Remember that in a deadly battle with the Nazis, I won your right to life with my blood, and since the war will end sooner or later, I am sure that peace will be long for you. I really want you to love and always listen to mother. I wrote this word with a capital letter, and I want you to write it just like that. Mother will teach you to love the land, work, people. Love the way I loved it all. And one more thing, no matter how your life develops, always stick together, amicably and firmly. In memory of me, study well at school, be pure in your soul, brave and strong, and may you have a peaceful life and a happier fate. But if, God forbid, the dark clouds of war begin to thicken again, then I would very much like you to be worthy of your father, to become good defenders of the motherland. Don't cry, Marusha, for me. It means that it is so pleasing to God that I give my life for our Russian land, for its liberation from the fascists, so that you, my relatives, remain alive and free, and that you always remember those who defended our motherland. It's a pity that I fought a little, only 220 20 days. Farewell, my beloved sons, my dear little wife, and my dear sister. I kiss you hard. Your father, husband, and brother, Chekov Matvey Maximovich, born in 1911, a native of the village of Dedilovo, Tula region. Killed 16 May 1942. If you have a letters in your family archive, you could send it to me, and I could make a separate video. Email you could find in the description under this video. And now, as I promised, I will show you a video on how to make such triangular letters.